This podcast was made possible by our generous patrons. A very special thank you to our creators, Dustin Garner and Matt Patain, our saints, Peter Strandkrone and Cody Heitch, our Grand Generals, Joseph Stahl, Tony Ranico, Cameron Brantley and Liam Gabriel, our Witch Hunter Masters, Yiji Dusht, Kadir Hussein, Caitlin Bradenkamp, Ryan Stock and Mix and Match, and our Witch Hunters, Ulsarion and Kat Mosseri. Also, a big thank you to our guardsmen and captains of the guard. Hello and welcome to the Audio Epics podcast with Chat GPT. Who is Eline Hoskens? Eline Hoskens is a Belgian voice actor and audio drama producer. She is best known for her work with Audio Epics, a production company that specializes in creating immersive and engaging audio dramas. Hoskens has provided voice acting for several of Audio Epics' most popular series, including The Witch Hunter Chronicles, The Call of the Flame, and The Legend of the Steel General. She is known for her ability to bring a wide range of characters to life, from heroic warriors to mysterious villains. In addition to her voice acting work, Hoskens is also a producer and writer for Audio Epics. She has co-written and co-produced several of the company's series, including The Legend of the Steel General and The Gods of Arkelan. Hoskens' work with Audio Epics has been recognized with several awards and nominations, including the Audioverse Awards and the Parsec Awards. She continues to be a key member of the company's creative team and a respected figure in the world of audio drama.
Chat GPT, who is Domien de Groot? Domien de Groot is a Belgian writer, musician and audio drama producer. He is best known for his work with Audio Epics, a production company that specializes in creating immersive and engaging audio dramas. The Groot has co-written and co-produced several of Audio Epics' most popular series, including The Witch Hunter Chronicles, The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, and The Legend of the Steel General. He is known for his ability to craft intricate, character-driven stories that blend elements of fantasy, horror, and mystery. In addition to his work with Audio Epics, the Groot is also a talented musician and composer. He has written original scores for many of the company's productions, as well as for other projects outside of the audio drama world. The Groot's work with Audio Epics has been recognized with several awards and nominations, including the Audioverse Awards and the Parsec Awards. He continues to be a driving force behind the company's creative output and a prominent figure in the world of audio drama.
This was but a foretaste of the benefits of AI for storytellers and content creators. The biggest benefit of all? A massive boost to your ego, creating an illusion of your super self.
Yeah, apparently we made a number of audio dramas that were not even our work.
Yeah, I do have to say this. When we both got the results, Call of the Flame. Apparently we had made something called Call of the Flame. We looked it up and we found that podcast. It exists. I listened to an episode of it, and it turns out it's actually a really good fantasy audio drama. So, but we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so if you like, we will look up the entries that we got, the names of the other audio dramas that were unrightfully attributed to Audio Epics, because we were not that prolific, ChatGPT. We did correct his answer afterwards. But if you like, we will put the other audio dramas in the description so you can check them out.
Yeah, why not? Funny thing is, our composer, our friend Peter van Riet, did the same thing. He asked ChatGPT, who is Peter van Riet, and the results were even funnier, because apparently, besides being a famous composer, he was also a mountaineer and a martial artist.
Wow! So, I did not know that.
Yeah, I
Peter.
didn't know that either. So
Well, yeah, so if you need a big ego boost, then just ask ChatGPT who you are, if you don't know that already. But it's all downhill from there, or is it?
Well, that's the question that we'll be discussing today, I guess. So this is our third attempt already at this podcast, because when we tried it before, I think we weren't in the right headspace yet, right?
No, I think they were overly negative. So yeah, we felt like we needed to get at least a bit more accustomed to AI before we started ranting about how awful an evolution it is, and get a more nuanced vision.
Yeah, that's why we're late to the party, because we know that everyone's been talking about this already.
Yeah, but this is actually the AI podcast part 3, then
I guess
third attempt. So yeah, sorry for that.
We felt we at least needed some experience, trying it, and as our patrons have known for some time, we do have several stories in the pipeline, the third of which, queuing up after the others, is called Voice of the Vampire. And
so we thought we could have AI write it while we worked on the former two. Perfect, right?
Turns out you no longer need us, because Sudowrite, which is an AI writing program, writes a new witch hunter story so much faster than we could.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, I gave it some details about the story, and I told it a little bit about the character of Ludlov. I said that Ludlov is a witch hunter, and he has some things in his past that he has to deal with, and I said that it's going to take place in the city of Markdorf, and that there was a vampire who is actually a nobleman, and his name is Akmilov.
Yeah, so this was actually the perfect test dummy, the story, because you didn't really have much progress yet, so we thought we could just check it out.
So, I gave it that information, and this is chapter 1, according to the program.
Part of it.
Markdorf lay shrouded in darkness, the moon's pale light barely penetrating the thick fog that clung to its streets. Ludlov stood on a rooftop, his deep blue eyes scanning the cityscape below. The chaos was palpable. Screams and cries echoed through the night air as Ivan Akmilov's corruption spread like a cancer. Markdorf teeters on the edge of damnation, Ludlov muttered to himself, his breath visible in the cold air. We must act, but with utmost discretion. Indeed, my friend, a voice whispered from behind him. Ludlov turned to see a hooded figure emerge from the shadows, the outline of the person barely discernible in the darkness. Failure is not an option, the figure continued. Should we falter, Akmilov's influence will grow only stronger, and countless lives will be lost. Ludlov clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the task at hand. He understood the gravity of their situation all too well. His past was full of sacrifices made for the greater good, but this mission left no room for error. Ludlov knew he could not allow doubt to cloud his judgment. The stakes were simply too high. Then we shall not fail, Ludlov said firmly, his voice like steel. We will eliminate Ivan Akmilov and put an end to this nightmare once and for all. Indeed, the hooded figure agreed, a sense of resolve emanating from them. We must remain focused on our mission and keep the political danger in mind. The balance of power in Markdorf hangs by a thread.
Cool.
So, I also mentioned that there was a sensitive political situation in the city that they shouldn't disrupt.
Did you give it input about Ludlov, the character, and his background, or not?
Yeah, so I said I mentioned that he has blue eyes. I mentioned that he's had to make some sacrifices in the past. So the funny thing for me was that everything I said, it just immediately, very explicitly put that in the story.
In the first 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, so that's, to me, it was kind of hilarious, the end result, because it's such a, it's so overly dramatic and on the nose It feels like a Saturday morning cartoon.
It is kind of funny. Yeah. That's exactly what it feels like. And also the indeed, my friend, indeed. They agree constantly.
Yeah.
It's like,
but I mean, like right away, they say things like failure is not an option, and we shall not fail, and we must eliminate it. You know?
Yeah, the empowering speech. At the
right away. So
at the beginning of the novel, yeah.
Like it tries to be emotional to the extent that it's ridiculous. I thought. I thought it was funny. So yeah, but of course, in the meantime, we are working on several things at once, and we're currently in the writing stage for the story called A Game of Bones, which our patrons knew already, but I think other people didn't know that yet.
They decided on the title as well.
Yeah. And that's the title that the patrons chose from a list of options. Let's just give a small, just a tiny paragraph from that.
Yeah.
Just, to show how,
We might as well, because, you've been waiting so long for a new story. You might at least get
it's a very, very tiny
paragraph of it.
Yeah. But it's just to show how, normal writing looks. It doesn't. It's not so ridiculously over dramatic.
I don't know. I wrote it. I don't know whether it's normal writing. It needs a lot of polishing still. But okay, here goes. Ludlow stumbled upon the roots of an ancient tree and almost lost his balance. Then he only just managed to avoid a large hole of some animal and quickly made a resolution to be more careful. The past months in Seven Peaks had apparently made him unaccustomed again to the scabrous ground of the woods. His lantern had almost dropped, and although there was still enough daylight, he would certainly need the candlelight later on, especially if there were caves ahead. He couldn't risk dropping it, so he adjusted it to his belt.
Yeah, so, the first thing I noticed is, like, you have some practical things that he's thinking about, and there's just a sense of logic to it. Yeah, so this was actually originally supposed to be the 5,000 word.
Yeah, it's already much more than double that amount. So it's actually going to be a full spin-off, right?
It's not going to be as long as Beast of the Western Wilds, I think, but I think it might be as long as Will of the Woods.
It might. We'll let you know when we know.
Yeah, we don't know yet either. But so we've got that coming up, and after that there will be The Wizard of the Woods.
Which we are also working on, like in brainstorm sessions and plot outline and stuff. So yeah, we'll let you know afterwards in the making of how that went, working on two stories at the same time.
Yeah, it's been a bit...
But so yeah,
interesting to hop between these.
In between, we did some AI research, especially Domien. I guess I didn't really bother. So can you tell a bit about what you've tested so far?
Yeah, so if you've listened to the Treasure of Boneyard Bay when we were releasing that, and you didn't skip the intros. Which you probably did because you can see the chapter divisions in YouTube.
But if you didn't, you're so awesome.
Yeah, but if you didn't skip the intros, then you may have noticed that in one of the episodes I said, I just discovered that this exists today. And I also said I was a little bit depressed about it. What I had discovered back then was the visuals, the AI art, the like Dolly and Midjourney and stuff like that.
Stable diffusion.
Yeah. And when I saw that, I was a little bit depressed because I felt like, oh, if this is possible, then, maybe all creative jobs will disappear. And I had a negative emotional reaction to it, like a lot of people, I think, especially the more creative types.
And I was just chill about it, and I didn't really care about it. And I'm not the chill one, right? I'm usually the panicky one, but this time I was just like, yeah, well, whatever. What's next?
Yeah. That's absolutely correct. I remember that. So I did some research. I started researching these things. And so first we looked at Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, DALL-E, and all of the visual artwork stuff, and then later on we found out about Chat GPT and things like that.
But were you immediately like, did you really believe that we would be out of a job?
Well, I wasn't aware yet of Chat GPT. All I knew was the things like Stable Diffusion, and I was kind of depressed by that because I admire people who can create art, and I felt like it was devaluing their work and their skills.
And I think the thing that got you most depressed about it was the fact, the fear that you wouldn't be able to distinguish anymore between something that was made by a real artist and something that was generated by AI.
It felt like this very soulless robotic thing, and it made me feel very uncomfortable.
And of course you can hide in a room and pretend it doesn't exist, but there's of course this big obsession out there, and fear also. Social media is it's crawling with people.
Yeah, you've got people who, especially artists who feel uncomfortable and, negative about this. And then on the other hand, you have certain people who have joined the AI cult and who are sort of worshipping, the artificial AI god.
I actually heard people who were convinced that the AI is gonna surmount humanity, that's gonna be better than humanity at some point. I don't know what to think about it. It sounds like a sci-fi.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
But when I came on Twitter, I read this.
So there was this guy, and I think he was Canadian, because he wrote, "We're going to have to film ourselves writing the books to verify AI didn't, eh?"
Yeah, and I just couldn't keep myself in check, and I replied, "Call me naive, but I think I'd know. I don't believe AI could ever write a lovable and consistent character. AI doesn't have emotions, past experiences, a sense of questioning reality or motives. There might be an audience for AI art, but not me." And then the guy replied again.
"In time, AI will figure out the patterns of these things as well as we do, or better.
Still, it will only be able to ruminate what actual humans have created before. I'm curious what it will be capable of in 10 years. Should you prove me wrong then, the joke will be on me, but I'm not worried."
I guess that's the debate.
I just think that the people who are really into the AI story, it's kind of a logical result, because I think humans have a tendency to anthropomorphize, or how do you say it, everything. It's what made Toy Story so popular. And
right.
I used to collect images as a child of inanimate objects with human characteristics, and for example, I cut them out of magazines, little candles, backpacks, shoes with the faces on them and emotions. So I think it is fascinating to us humans, objects or computers coming to life. I think it's also why people love robots and sci-fi, why R2-D2 and C-3PO feel like real characters.
And Wall-E.
It's what we do. You know what, we have this funny thing, we go on a morning walk, and we always cross a garden of people, and every time we pass the garden, there's this
the lawnmower robot.
Yeah, there's this Husqvarna automower, and it's really cute.
Yeah, it feels like it approaches us every time we
every
come
time
by,
it accidentally is mowing the grass near the fence where we pass. And it's like
you want to pet it.
Yeah, it's like a little doggy sniffing the fence.
That's how it feels.
That's how it feels.
But of course, it isn't. It's just a machine.
It's just a machine. But that's what it does to us. We see something move, and we see something or something talks or something writes, and we immediately imagine this personality behind it, because we have personality. That's all we know.
And it's kind of, I used to have I'm gonna make a fool of myself. This is embarrassing, but when I was younger, not anymore now, but when I was much younger, I used to even have, these tendencies, like when I was putting, cutlery back in the drawer, there was this one little spoon that was all on its own, and I would have to put it with the other spoons because otherwise it would be lonely.
Oh, that's so cute.
So things like that. So yeah, and of course with Chat GPT, when you ask it a question and it gives you the information, you kind of feel obliged to say thank you.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah.
I always have to keep myself in check to not do that. Remind myself this is a machine. It's okay to not reply, but I always want to say thank you. That's actually very helpful. Or no, I think you were misunderstanding or something. I always want to.
And actually, the really creepy thing is that it doesn't know anything. It isn't actually talking to you. There's no one there. It's all an illusion, and that's so weird.
So perhaps that's why I'm so chill about it, because it's not new, right? AI, it's not something that suddenly just fell out of the sky and into our laps.
No, actually not at all.
It was already there. I remember when I was, I think in college or mid school, there was Eliza, which was kind of a chat bot, kind of an online shrink, they told me back then. And you could just pour out your soul to it, and then
it probably said, and how does that make you feel?
Exactly, yeah. You could pour out your soul to it and tell your problems, and Eliza would say things like, and how did that make you feel? And you really had, of course that was not all she replied, but you would have the feeling of actually being on a couch with an actual shrink.
I remember when the movie AI came out by Steven Spielberg, so that was 2001. That's a long time ago. Back then, when movies came out, that was before social media existed. So they put up these more ambitious websites to promote movies, and AI had a website to promote the movie, and to get into the theme of the movie, I guess, they had a chatbot on there that you could, chat with, and it would respond. And it was kind of like Chat GPT, only of course much simpler.
I didn't know that.
Much less. You could very quickly tell that it, that the illusion was not anywhere near as good, but it was kind of already there a little bit, even back then in 2001.
And how long has Google search given great suggestions for keywords? Also, Microsoft playing the perfect spouse by completing your sentences when you're typing in Word. That has been there for a while.
Yeah.
We've used Face App, which is a great app we've actually used that for Boneyard Bay. I would either put a picture of someone I knew and a picture of a celebrity, or just mix up two celebrities, and then I would, with that image that I printed out, I would start drawing, inspired by that. I wouldn't carbon copy it or anything, but it would just inspire me. It would be a real character. It looked like a real existing person. So I thought that was cool.
Now they have, of course, with this new software, that's the new AI stuff, they have, much more advanced versions of that, I guess.
Yeah, you could probably mash them up and then ask them to create a pencil portrait or a charcoal portrait of it. But what would be the fun in that? Also now I could just draw the face and then invent the clothing, because it would be modern pictures, and Ruda is not a modern setting, so you could just invent just draw a cloth or something, because I'm not really good at drawing clothes.
Well,
anyway.
I think as far as I'm concerned, that kind of stuff is fun if you want, a fun little avatar for your social media account.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see myself as Indiana Jones in the jungle, and use that as my avatar. I guess that could be fun. But, if you want to have like a real, I don't know, like a book cover or something, that's different, I think.
I wouldn't use it for book covers.
For anything that you really want to, put out there and, show something of quality.
By the way, if you hear background noises, it's because this is the annual party weekend where we live. So it's probably the weekend where we...
It sounds like there's only one party a year in our town. But,
it's a big party. You know, like wasted people puking on cars and cardboard cups stuck in your window shield and stuff like that. So actual people partying till 3 o'clock.
Yeah, we live in the center of the town, right next to the square where the church is and everything. And every year there's this weekend when all through the weekend there's music and hot dog stands and things like that, and there's a little fair with bumper cars. And
that's cool. I like the fair. Just not fond of the auto-tuned, very loud music, but we usually just, if we can't sleep, we just stay up and write. That's a good thing, right?
And none of it is AI generated. It's all real.
Real human beings, yeah. But secondly, so we were talking about, it wasn't that new, so it wasn't that revolutionary anyway. And the other side of the medal is that the media, they tend to create fear, right? It's what they do. I remember in Dutch class when I was... I remember reading a text about world famine that would be there in less than 10 years if we didn't put a stop to it. Then there was the millennium bug, right?
Yeah, that was... I'll never forget that. It was the scariest night of my life. No, it wasn't, actually.
And
Not at all.
I remember being scared then. There was true. 2012.
Yeah, thanks Roland Emmerich.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that happened, the movie.
Yeah.
Then, the melting of the ice caps.
Thanks, Kevin Costner.
the polar... the magnetic poles would be topsy-turvy.
Yeah, right.
Things like that.
That too.
Terrorism, COVID, and I'm not saying there's nothing there.
Financial collapse.
Yeah, right.
World War III, that was the most recent one.
And I'm not saying there's nothing there, because obviously some of those things, there were some things actually happening. We did have terroristic attacks.
Yeah, of course. These things, they happened, but they always exaggerate everything to make you feel extra afraid.
Yeah, it's like our 4-year-old when he bumps his toe. and it kind of creates a boy cries wolf effect.
You get numb.
Yeah, exactly. If they come up with a new drama, I'll probably just say, it's another crisis.
I guess that
so
real...
maybe that is why I was so chill about it. I think I've gotten numb by all this panic. I'm sick of panicking.
It's also it's not just that the news media likes to create fear because that gets them attention. It's also that the tech industry likes to create hype because that
money
gets them investors and also attention and
there are already hundreds of platforms and software producers,
and there have been so many things in recent years that were supposed to be these amazing new developments that were gonna change everything, And they all, I mean, it's not like, again, not like there was nothing there, but they all kind of, sort of normalized eventually. Things like you had cryptocurrency, you had blockchain, and what you had have you all that stuff. And none of these things became like
MLM systems, like
right.
dozens of them.
Oh yeah. So many innovations where they promised much more than they could actually deliver. I mean, anyone who's a gamer and who follows, like the development of new games knows this, that, they always overpromise and in the end product is never as amazing as they...
Or it will save you tremendous amounts of time, and they always promise something. Canva was pretty amazing. That was cool. That was great.
Yeah, but it's just a well-made version of something, of stuff that already existed for a long time.
You pick something that exists, you make it easier. You make it easier for people to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Faster.
Take Facebook. I remember a time before Facebook.
When was that?
Again,
Ages
a billion
ago.
years ago.
Oh, you're so old.
Yeah. But I mean, I was on various profile websites like that.
Yeah.
Before Facebook, because I was hoping to meet girls. I guess like so many people, I guess. And also, to keep in touch with friends and stuff. And there were many things, and they weren't really different from Facebook. But for some reason, Facebook became the one that...
introduced the wall. The
wall
of pride.
That must be it, yeah. The wall where you can show off your amazing life.
I don't miss any of these things. But there was a cool chat box. What was it called? I envy you.
Oh.
I envy you.
Right.
That was cool because you could create an entire alternative reality in that.
Right. Oh.
And you could visit each other's created room. I had this room with a swimming pool in it and a dolphin.
You just reminded me of the best example of overhyped technology, the metaverse, where they,
it was there already.
Yeah. It was that was a Second Life. How old is that game? It's 15 years old or something. And it was already kind of the same thing as the metaverse.
I don't know. Could be a big thing. And then they're going to laugh at you 10 years from now.
The metaverse? It's even things like the Wall Street Journal and stuff are already saying that the metaverse is a giant flop.
By the way, they did it in Demolition Man. It's how they have sex in Demolition Man. It's kind of
right. Yeah. That movie's amazing.
It's scarily accurate.
Yeah. It is in some ways it is a little bit about the times in which we live. Yeah.
Okay, so back from Sandy B to AI. So what is Chat GPT really?
Well, it's a language model, a large language model. So I guess some people have referred to it as, you could compare it to a word calculator. Like a calculator calculates numbers, and ChatGPT calculates words in a sense.
A predictor then, but then not for pregnancies.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't use AI to get pregnant.
Or to predict your pregnancy, whatever.
But it cannot think. It has no experience. It has no consciousness. And
like the automower.
And it's not just suddenly gonna develop consciousness. I mean, anyone who says this is influenced by science fiction movies, but not by reality. I'm sorry, but that's just... there's nothing to show that that's how it would work in real life.
I don't know. It might develop tentacles.
Yeah. So yeah, it can predict what You know what the biggest indicator is that it cannot think is that it will do nothing unless you first put in your own, prompt, right? It won't do anything of its own.
So I guess
it has no agency.
I guess you could say after your research, you could say, like Kevin McAllister, you're not afraid anymore.
No, I was just imagine that if you're chatting with GPT, and you're asking it all kinds of questions, and it's answering, and suddenly it asks you a question.
Ooh, that would be a great story prompt. Yeah.
That would be weird. So like out of the blue, you didn't put anything in, and suddenly it asks you a question.
Creators out there, write that story, because we already have enough ideas. We're probably not gonna be able to finish them in our lifetime. So, yeah. So we're not afraid about ChatGPT suddenly writing the next Witch Hunter novel and then saying, "Ha, audio epics, close your books."
Well, I think we should talk about what AI can mean for storytellers, because after all, that's the main focus of our podcast.
Yeah, I think what it can do, to add a little bit, is I did fear, and I still do fear a bit for the translation sector. Because I used to be a translator. I'm glad I'm no longer. But I have a friend, Isabel, and she does a fantastic job. She gets the text she needs to translate. She reads them in advance and she researches them. Then she has a whole team of specialized translators. She picks the right one for that job. Afterwards, she gives them feedback, and then she sends it to a client. They make amazing translations, and I can see the difference. But I notice a lot of clients just using AI for translations, and it's a different thing from writing a story. But I think translation.
Again, before ChatGPT was around, you already had DeepL Pro, which was an amazing piece of software for translation. It just cost some money, unlike ChatGPT, which is free. But I don't think there's a real difference. I mean, it was just as good, probably better.
But it's sad, isn't it? Because the best translators who earn the biggest bucks, the most money, they can afford it. So they will actually use it and stop using their own talents. I
think that when it comes to translation, there are many things that you can just directly translate. But there are some things for which you need human intelligence too, even in translation.
That's true.
Because when it comes to, purely technical language, I guess a computer translation would be just as good. But when it comes to something like poetry, or anything where subtle nuances that have to do with the culture and of the language, etc. I don't think you need not just someone who can translate, but someone who understands the cultures of both languages. And not just that, I think there are numerous examples of words that just don't have an equivalent in another language. Like we don't have the word siblings in Dutch. Yeah, we don't. It's just we say something like brothers or sisters, but we don't have the word an equivalent for siblings. Yeah. So a bot might actually translate it by brothers or sisters. Yeah. But there are enough other examples that might be trickier, I think, for AI to translate. So how could we use AI for storytelling? Yeah, so for storytelling, I guess this is the real meat of the podcast, where it becomes super interesting. Not that it wasn't interesting before, but it becomes amazingly interesting. Yeah, because it might be pseudo interesting, because we're going to talk about Sudowrite, which is what I used to generate the chapter that I read to you earlier. So you can generate story ideas with it, concepts, writing prompts. It does do that.
Yeah. We watched a number of YouTube videos too, right? Explaining Sudowrite and how it worked. By some of the videos were by the creators. And it did sound impressive, but often the story ideas are pretty basic, or I don't know.
The thing about it is that it always kind of feels like super formulaic and cliche ridden, and we've talked about this in the past. I'm someone who actually is in favor of cliches.
We embrace them.
Yeah, but there's the way AI does it. It's kind of charming in a very childlike way, but not good enough to actually put out there.
Yeah. Also, you have, of course, there are people who want to use it. I don't blame them for wanting to. You got frameworks like the hero's journey. It's already in there, so you can actually format your whole story around that framework, and it just feels limiting to me. I would feel kind of trapped.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be useful for certain kinds of stories. It depends, I guess. What it also can do is it can help you get unstuck. And I think for that, it might actually be useful.
Yeah. I've used it for that.
When you're writing a story and you come to a place and you really don't know what should happen next, you can sort of ask the program, like, okay, what could possibly happen next?
Yeah, and it gives you suggestions. But to be perfectly honest, I used it for a game of Bones where I was stuck at some point. I knew what would need to happen roughly, but I couldn't fill in the specifics of it. And I asked Chat GPT to give a number of suggestions. I did a lot of research, but what I found was that it was not only were they very unoriginal ideas, but AI is just not familiar enough with your characters. For example, it would suggest Ludloff calling upon a demon and conversing with it, which is something Ludloff would never do. So that was the problem. All these ideas I got, it just didn't. Were not solutions for the character, because he wouldn't do that. It
doesn't know your world, your characters.
Your character limits also. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like asking some random person on the street what should happen next. You kind of get the same result.
If he had access to the entire internet, which he does. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that different. What it's supposed to be able to do is rewrite your prose in a certain style.
Have you tried that?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But to be perfectly honest, for me, the fun of, and I know this is different for many people, but for me, the real fun of writing is just that, creating a mood and setting an atmosphere and describing things and having people talk to each other and sort of have that chemistry between characters and stuff, like making it come to life.
And you have your own style, right?
And you should. I guess.
I think you should at least insert 3 whole novels to be able to have it mimic your style just a little bit.
I don't know. I don't
know. Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't want. I mean, because that for me is the fun part. So why would I let a computer do that?
And also it's. Okay, maybe it doesn't come as fast as the generating stuff.
No, so okay,
it comes
what?
From you.
I mean, to me, that's what makes me feel like I've actually achieved something.
Maybe the most interesting part of Sudowrite and what it can do is write out your synopsis.
Yeah, so it can do that. Of course, the thing is, like with most things, it all depends on what you put in, right? If you feed into the AI something really, really bare bones, what you're gonna get out of it is your bare bones in a super cliche formulaic plot. That's what's gonna come out. If you have lots of ideas and subplots and stuff already in mind, then the AI will help you structure that into a plot, I guess.
Okay, so it's instead of like creation, it's more like procreation. You only get out of it what you put in it.
The thing is, the AI is not creative. It's a tool.
Yeah, and I think that was our conclusion, right? Because we did see a YouTube video about a guy who was really, really enthusiastic about AI.
Yeah.
And he did have some really good points.
Yeah, he did. He
did have
He
great
softened
arguments.
my stance a bit.
Yeah, he had great arguments. So I think we're more like in the middle now. Like we understand why people would use it, creators and writers.
So I don't want to, sort of be negative towards people who are enthusiastic about it and want to use it, because I can see that it could be a real help for people in various situations. But
yeah, exactly.
The point of it, of what we're trying to say, is that with or without AI, writing a book, a screenplay, whatever, is still really hard work and requires, a lot of thought and care. And with AI, it might make certain aspects of it easier, but your role will be more that of almost like a programmer, I guess, or like an engineer, or a movie director. And sort of you try to combine all the building blocks into something that works for you.
I got the impression that some people
but it will still be hard.
Yeah, some people believe that Sudowrite would make a writer out of someone with no talent, like no ideas and no skill.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really believe that, and
that's kind of what I was afraid of for a bit.
Why on earth would you persuade that? Because then you're thinking about the result, right? Like then you can tell people on Facebook, I wrote a book, but did you enjoy it? Really, did you enjoy it?
And who's, I guess, if you ask people, would you read that book? I guess at first they would say, yeah, out of curiosity, but afterwards, I don't think. I think the novelty would wear off really quickly.
Maybe there would be an audience for it. I don't know.
If you could just say, like, click generate masterpiece, click, and you get a brilliant novel. I mean,
you would get a bore out very soon.
I mean that's the end of storytelling.
Also, when I saw the lady from the video by Sudowrite, she was doing a tutorial, and she was showing on screen that she was kind of building a novel.
Right. Yeah.
And she saw all of these suggestions for sentences on the right side, and then she clicked on them and she said, "Oh, I like this one. I'm going to copy paste it." And it kind of felt nauseous. It looked so rational, maybe not intuitive, like computer language, something like that. It felt really weird.
Well, yeah, but I guess you could say, like, I mean, it's still you're still making a choice. You're still making an artistic choice for which sentence you like the most. It's like if someone who arranges flowers into a nice bouquet, the person didn't make the flowers, but they arranged them, and that in itself requires some insight into what works. And
I guess the guy from the YouTube video, he compared it to photography at some point.
Yeah. So I can see that. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just it's not for me personally. But one of the reasons. So for me, what I find fun is writing the prose and making it come to life and making the audience, be able to smell and feel and care for the characters and the immersion.
Yeah, and I love coming up with story ideas.
Yeah, exactly. That's your great strength.
A plot outline, and it's one of the arguments the guy actually used. When I've written a very detailed plot outline, it feels like I've already written the novel, and I'm just tired of putting the work in there. I don't want to put the work in there anymore. I just want to move on to the next idea because I have so many, and that's where you come in.
And I completely understand. The thing is, what we have is we have this dynamic where Eline is the outliner, and I'm sort of the prose generator, and so we've got each other. We don't need the software for that. But not everyone is in that position. Eline enjoys coming up with the building blocks of what should happen next and how does this fit into that, and I'm the guy who likes to just paint a picture with words.
Right.
So that's what I enjoy. So we both can do what we enjoy because we have each other. For me, in the past, when I wrote on my own, coming up with the storylines was a much slower and more arduous process because I can do it, but it just takes a super long amount of time for me to come up with a plot line that Eline would come up with in like 10 minutes. And I guess for AI could be that other person for some people.
Yeah. And also I think if I took a brief look at Sudowrite on YouTube, I think the structuring as a structuring tool, I kind of love it. That's actually what I miss, and I think what we both were missing since the guy was talking about people with ADHD having trouble focusing and therefore having trouble finishing a book, stuff like that. And I'm sure that if they had put us to the test as children, we would both have gotten that label of being neurodivergent. So, but it doesn't matter now. What I got from that video is we need some kind of structuring tool. And then Domien was researching structuring tools, and he said a lot of writers use Scriveners to structure their
Scrivener,
their stories. And I said, oh, but we have an account actually,
which I didn't even know.
We bought it. So we reactivated our account and we upgraded to the new version, and maybe that will help us in the future to create faster and get less distraction. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, I've actually always been working in Word, just Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
And that's just all I've been using to write all the stuff that I've written. And I've never even used Grammarly or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
I think Sudowrite is kind of amazing as a structuring tool. So it would be great if something like that existed, but without the AI generating part. That would be much cheaper. That would be a one-time payment. Because I was kind of impressed with what it could do in structuring with the cards and the storyline, the chronological storyline.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing.
But now that I've been taking a bit of a deep dive into what Scrivener can do, I've been sort of following the course. I'm really impressed with what you can do. Almost all of those structuring things in fact, you can do much more with Scrivener in terms of structuring than.
Okay, then I should check it out, because the last time I used it, it was an old version, of course, so it was pretty limited. I got back to Microsoft Word because I've used a lot of writing tools like Celtics as well. I used OneNote, and I always return to Microsoft Word because I use the navigation, and then I just put in my chapters and the names or the temporary names, and that way I can see my structure and navigate very quickly between my chapters. So I use Microsoft Word for that.
That's possible, but Scrivener makes it a lot easier and more convenient. And you can switch things around. You can look at. You can even look at previous versions of that chapter alongside your current version. You've got this cork board. You can put in character information, outlines.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty cool.
Even pictures that inspire you.
Well, I should check it out again then, because I still have a number of, I think I have about 4 scripts unfinished probably on my computer that have the not the Celtics, the Scrivener extension. So now that we have it back, I can check those out. I can actually open them again and see what's there. Maybe there's another novel.
The thing is, for me, Word is super linear, right? You go from point A to point B. You just continue on, and that's just what you do in Word.
But I am a very chronological writer, more or less.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but mostly, yeah.
But
I don't know about
I know for Treasure of Boneyard Bay that I would, because I wanted to be able to go back to previous versions of the manuscript to sort of, if I'm going in doing something a little bit differently, but then afterwards I decide, no, I want to go back to how it was before. So I wanted to keep older versions. So I had, like this tons of documents.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
Boneyard Bay 56, 57, 58, I like...
Yeah, I think that's not an exaggeration.
Like, I had over 70 versions on my PC. And, with Scrivener, you can just do that all in one big project. It's really made for novelists, and professional novelists use it. So,
and it's not that expensive.
Not at all, no.
We actually got
really cheap.
a very big discount because we already had it for several years.
We got it for, I think, $40.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. 38, I think.
And it's not subscription based.
That's great, because everything is subscription based these days.
That's really, really nice. Quick interruption here. Because we were so enthusiastic about Scrivener, we thought, well, maybe they have an affiliate program, and it turns out they did. So there's an affiliate link in the description of this video. If you get excited about Scrivener and you want to purchase it, you can do so using that link. So that was our ad for Scrivener. So
bit sidetracked there by writing tools, but okay. Yeah. So how would we use it, AI? I think for generating writing, well, for me at least, just no.
Yeah. As you could tell from what I was reading earlier on, the prose that it generates is just kind of ridiculous. In my view, in my estimation,
it does this. It does the trick. It tells a story, but it doesn't really make you feel anything.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
But above all, I mean, why would I do that? Because that's what I love doing. Yeah. That's what I enjoy. So why would I let a computer do that?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm also not threatened by it, because I've seen now firsthand that I'm better at it than the computer is.
You're so arrogant.
Yeah, I guess, but it's
a human being, think you're better than an AI?
Not in every way. It's faster than I am.
Yeah, it is a lot faster than we can write. Yeah, that's true.
And as for copywriting, because that's sort of your daytime job, right?
Yeah. I've already told that. I just didn't feel right watching the woman in the video copy pasting text. So obviously I wouldn't use it for copywriting as well, but I did use it in the past for my job. I'm a copywriter. In my daytime job, and I did use it to look up USPs, for example, of a brand, to help me write a coherent text. And I've noticed that the writing style is very artificial, with a lot of word repetition, both within one answer as overall. And I found
Right.
that ChatGPT tends to use the same answer template for every question.
Yeah.
It also favors certain expressions, while there are so many different ways, for example, to say something like a wide array of. It will use a wide array of instead of a broad variety or a large range or a wide assortment. It would always say a wide array. That just felt like a bit funny. And then if there happen to be two brands with the same name worldwide, ChatGPT will just blend the two. They will blend them together, even if their products and services are nothing alike. You will not stick with the brand you're most likely looking for based on earlier input in your conversation. We'll just blend them. That's just weird. So you have to pay really good attention if you're writing, especially when you're writing for clients. And after testing it for a while, I found out that I lost a lot of time instead of gaining it. I had to check more. I had to rewrite, and it just goes a lot faster when now I just write, and sometimes I look something up, of course, on the internet. And in the beginning, I asked ChatGPT. Now I just use Google search again.
Yeah, so it is kind of like this. It's the big hype, and then the hype sort of fizzles out, like all these other things.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I guess it's similar for illustrations. I get the feeling that you've seen all these amazing. Everyone by now has seen all these amazing looking pictures that were created by Midjourney and stuff, right? But, other people have probably also tried to create or generate a cool picture using these programs. I tried it. And what I noticed is that it's bloody difficult. I mean, I tried many prompts and even, looked up how do you write a good prompt and stuff. And I got results that in some cases looked kind of, they looked cool, but there was always so much wrong with them that you couldn't use them at all. I asked it to, this was just to try it out. Of course, not that I was actually gonna use it for cover art or anything, because I really wouldn't do that. But
you were curious.
Yeah, just
you wanted to put your fears.
Yeah,
at ease.
So I tried. Okay, try to write the best possible prompt for a witch hunter, and a description of what he should look like, and like a dark sky in the background and flames, and he's holding a sword, and it could come up with stuff that looks cool, but completely insane, like the sword is melted to his arm, or the flames come out of the top of his hat, or
right,
or his fingers are sort of stuck in his neck, or whatever,
there's always something off, right?
Something complete.
Yeah.
And I guess you could get that stuff out, but it would take many iterations and lots of hand holding, and I realized that you can create beautiful artwork. Whether it's art or not, I'm just not. You know what I mean? Beautiful looking pictures with this software, but it's still gonna be really tough, and you're gonna have to do a lot of studying and understanding how that works. And I think
maybe
in many cases you could just as well just paint it if that's your talent, and it would be a lot more fun.
But so maybe it could be a starting point for like real digital artists, and then they could start from there, and then alter it. And I don't know. I'm not a digital artist, so I don't.
But there is, of course, the other aspect with the artwork that we haven't mentioned yet, which is the ethical aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since all these programs, they just scrape imagery from all over the internet, and I know the discussion is, some people say, there's nothing wrong with that because it's not actually copying that, it's just looking at it for inspiration. I find that a really bizarre argument because
I wouldn't know, because I don't know enough about how the engine works. Because I had this idea about Sudowrite as well, that it just picks bits and pieces of sentences from other novels, and I thought it was disgusting. But then when she explained it, that's not what it does, right? It kind of predicts how a sentence would end based on how people usually work.
It's never actually like a full sentence that actually comes straight from an existing novel. It doesn't do that. But of course, it probably did use existing novels to sort of learn how to generate.
I guess so. So
text.
it's hard to determine.
But with the visual stuff, they say the same thing that it doesn't copy. But I've seen, like, when you type in a picture and you say, I remember that I wrote movie poster as a kind of visual cue for the style of it. But when you do that, you see these ghostly remains of what used to be a title, there.
Okay.
Or I also typed in Stable Diffusion just for fun, Hugh Grant as a space marine. And you got this twisted, bizarre, demonic looking picture of like a Warhammer 40,000 miniature with a face that somehow represented Hugh Grant.
You recognize him or didn't?
Yeah, you could sort of vaguely recognize his eyes in there, but it's so creepy.
I'm not good at if it's an art to write good prompts for Stable Diffusion. I'm not good at it. There's always something off with my pictures. It has too many fingers, a weird perspective, or something odd in the background. I think the most beautiful thing I got out of it was when I typed something in the style of Rapunzel's tower in Van Gogh style. That was really beautiful because it had the stars and it was, I think, parts of Starry Night, and it was a cool.
The best I got out of it was when picture. I asked it. I was thinking, let's maybe have something from The Will of the Woods. So I typed in an eagle flying over a forest as a pencil drawing in the style of Alan Lee. And one of the results made me think, this actually looks kind of nice. But then, of course, Alan Lee did draw a lot of eagles.
And you wouldn't know. And there's a lot of, there's so many great artists out there. And a lot of them are really affordable because, a lot of people are just passionate about it. And what these images lack is passion, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. If you feel passion, there are some people say, but AI art does have soul, because to them I say, the soul that you see in there comes from artwork that people have made, that it just sort of integrates.
Yeah.
So it's not like it doesn't look soulful, it's that it wasn't made in a soulful way, I guess you could say.
Exactly. It's like our children can taste the love we put in our pancakes.
Yeah. By the way, we should go to the grocery store to pick up some more love, because we've almost run out.
I don't think we'll ever run out.
Just kidding.
Oh, we're getting corny here. We should get to the conclusion. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will be still using things like Face App, just like we did before.
But what you did with Face App is you.
Yeah, I explained. I use it as an inspiration, and then I actually started drawing.
And you actually started
and
drawing.
I'm not a great artist. Let's just establish this. It was just for fun, and it was just to get the image in my head of that particular character. And it was just fun, you know. It's about the process.
You know what I would like to add to this conversation? Just one remark is, I think one person who sort of, in my view, sort of express or is sort of this almost symbolic of the best response to AI
I know what you're going to say.
is Bob Ross.
Yeah.
You know?
I knew you were going to...
The joy of painting.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's not a... One line that stuck out in among the many comments that I've read about AI art is someone who said, art is an activity, not an end product. It doesn't matter how good...
Exactly.
Something that's automatically generated, how good it looks, doesn't matter. It's the fact that someone's made this and someone is communicating something through this piece of art. That's what matters. And Bob Ross, I mean, many people will say that what he did wasn't real art. That's fine. The point is that
I thought it was beautiful.
He taught people to enjoy the process of creating something beautiful.
He did great work, I think.
Yeah.
He did a marvelous job at that. Yeah.
And yeah, sure. I mean, a landscape painting that's made in an hour. I mean, that's not painstaking hard work. Okay,
that's a skill.
But
he did it.
Yeah, but I mean, he showed that anyone can do it. But
that was such a modest guy.
There was a certain a simple, honest joy in the process of just. Yeah, I can't express it.
You should watch. If you don't know Bob Ross, you probably do, because we were really late in discovering him a couple of years ago. He loves just washing his brush and then
yeah.
And then rattling it on his easel. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he had so many like little rituals like that, and little phrases that he always used to say.
Like happy little accidents.
Yeah, let's paint a happy little tree. And
it made me happy. It was just when I feel down and I watch Bob Ross, I always feel happy again, and I feel I feel like creating. Whether it's writing or
that's it exactly.
Painting.
He shows that what matters is applying yourself to it. Just sort of enjoying the process of.
I think it's something that psychiatrists often ask people who feel who struggle with burnout or bore out. They say, if you had enough money and you didn't need to do this anymore, would you still do it? And if the answer is yes, then you're really passionate about it. And that's your true joy doing it. I think if I wouldn't be able to write, and I have experienced it in the past, if I can't write for one reason or another, and I'm not talking about writing about garbage containers for clients or construction workers. I'm talking about creative writing. If I cannot do this for a while because I've got a lot of other work, I feel miserable. And I think that's the core of it. Like you said, it's about the process. It's an activity, and you need it to feel happy, to feel sane.
Yeah, and that's the weird part of creation. I remember when we were working on The Treasure of Boneyard Bay, as we were working on it, I always had this feeling of, I can't wait for this to be finished and have that end result and be able to listen to it and sort of and also just put it out there for people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the entire journey, while sometimes difficult and even frustrating, was really fun. It just feels like a wonderful memory.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you listen to the end result, the fun in listening to the end result is that you're reminded of the process, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
In
it.
a way.
And I guess that's a double-edged sword, and why you want to always keep creating, and at the same time also want to, finish things. So
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like a video game in this sense. I mean, it's a stupid comparison maybe, but when you're playing a video game, there are moments that are, there might be moments that are frustrating and annoying, but that's and you kind of want to get past them and you want to finish it, but at the same time, why are you playing it? Because you enjoy that process of getting through it, right?
Right.
So.
And also for the rewards. The ping and the XP and the money and the gear.
And of course we mostly write our stories for the money. Because, I mean, they're making us filthy rich, so...
Sure. No, but I did get this app called Habit Hunter on my phone. Right. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I hope it will help me with the writing, since it kind of turns your life into an RPG. So if you feel down and you feel like playing video games, to get a sense of accomplishment, then you should just download that app. I don't get any commission whatsoever for promoting it, but I thought it was really cute. It's a very simple RPG game, and you just put in there all of your chores and tasks and
the boring stuff you have to do anyway.
Yeah, like accountancy and all that jazz and things you postpone because you hate them so much, but then you postpone the fun things too because you just waste a lot of time feeling miserable about these things you need to do. And by putting them in there and getting XP for them and new gear and things like that makes it easier to accomplish those boring things. And sometimes you realize it's not such a big deal. Sometimes it's just filling out a form, putting it in an envelope, putting a stamp on it, and bring it to the post office. It's and just in your head it blows up like such an amount of work, and then when you finish it, you think like, hey, that was actually not so bad. So it's only logical that I only get 30 XP for it.
They have a quest fulfilled, and yeah.
Yeah. And it's
a
that
cool
little
concept.
sound. It's that little sound. Ping. So yeah. But we're
that's a tangent, but I thought
we were nearing towards our conclusion.
We're just about to
of this
wrap
podcast. So yeah, what is our conclusion? How would we use AI for storytelling?
So the conclusion is that from now on we're just gonna auto-generate everything we do and just watch as the money comes pouring in.
You saw that coming,
creations.
right? No. As for me, I would occasionally use it as a search engine, I think, but even then with much caution, because it makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, actually, I've heard people say that that's what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't use Chat GPT as a search engine.
Yeah, I don't anymore. That's right. I use Google Search again. I did ask it things. I thought it would be a benefit compared to Google Search for like asking it for episodes of series or something. So I started with telling it, hey, Chat GPT, I'm writing a dark fantasy story about a serial killer. Are there any X-Files episodes that might be inspiring?
Right, yeah.
And then it came up with a list, but the list was just false.
Yeah, we watched all of those episodes, and
We had to-
only one or two actually had serial killers in them.
Yeah, or it would get the number of the season wrong,
Right.
or the number of the episode wrong, or the title
Yeah.
wrong. There was always
The same thing
something wrong with it.
happened to me with, our oldest son Ronan is obsessed with Star Wars
Yeah.
right now, and he's especially obsessed with General Grievous. I mean, he's got a major obsession with General
It's
Grievous.
obsession with a big capital O.
Yeah.
It's a bit worrying
Yeah,
actually.
and so we asked ChatGPT for, in which episodes of the Clone Wars does General Grievous feature? And, it gave us a bunch of episodes, some of which did indeed feature General Grievous, some of which didn't. And then he got a Lego set, and in the Lego set, it had General Grievous fighting Mace Windu. And we thought, where does that feature in Star Wars?
we
I
couldn't
don't remember
recall
that.
it, yeah.
So we looked it up, and I asked ChatGPT, so in which episode of the Clone Wars does General Grievous fight Mace Windu? And it gave an episode and this whole synopsis of an entire story of what happened in it and how Mace Windu faces off with General Grievous and so we looked up, we watched that episode, and General Grievous wasn't in it.
Was Mace Windu in it?
I can't recall whether Mace Windu was in it, but in any case, the synopsis was a complete fabrication.
Yeah.
And then I started looking around, on Google, on Reddit and stuff, and turns out there is no episode where Mace Windu and General Grievous meet. It just doesn't exist.
So you just invented it.
So ChatGPT just invented a story.
So ChatGPT is a pathological liar.
So it cannot be creative, but it can lie. It's almost like it's demonic, really.
Or it has pseudologica fantastica.
Yeah.
It's kind of a condition where you believe your own lies. Yeah. So maybe ChatGPT should meet up with Eliza at the AI shrink.
Right.
Yeah. So no.
Yeah. Anyway, it's.
I think Ronan, if ChatGPT would evolve over the next 10 years, he would probably use it, or a visual, because there are video variants too, right? AI video creators.
Yeah.
I saw one with The Sound of Music featuring Arnold Schwarzenegger
Right. Yeah, I saw
as
one.
Maria. That was
I saw one with
weird.
Titanic, the famous portrait drawing scene with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Schwarzenegger.
as
He's
Kate
a popular
Winslet.
AI guy. It's probably because he's got such a robotic voice. But yeah, I think if that would evolve, then Ronan would probably ask that AI to regenerate Revenge of the Sith and then make it so that General Grievous is the big champion of the movie and doesn't die.
Yeah.
Probably.
Right. That's an idea. Mods, but then for movies instead of for games.
Yeah, I would probably tackle the Disney Star Wars then right away.
Yeah, there are some things you can't fix with mods,
Oh, okay.
You just need to start over. But in any case,
who knows? Maybe that would be possible. I know Tolkien wouldn't like it. AI. Probably.
he would definitely see it as the work of Sauron. But I think AI is something that could help people, as we discussed. Some would call it a crutch. I think that's a little negative. I think it could just be a tool, something to help people in some aspect of the creative process. But for us personally, it's just not really for us.
No, and we should be mindful of the copyright issue.
Yes, also.
Yeah, I think, if Tolkien would be talking about sub-creation, he would say you need a human for that, a human being. World building, creating your own world, it's awesome. Why would you give that fun part to AI? It's like you said, art is an activity, not a product.
No, and AI will not be able to write what we love. So it doesn't know what we love. It doesn't understand that. So we are not gonna generate prose with Sudowrite or whatever in order to write our stories faster. It's just not gonna happen. But we will make use of Scrivener again. But there's no AI involved in Scrivener whatsoever.
No, not yet, at least. It will help us to structure our stories. And that might actually help us, but no AI for now. That's good. No distraction.
And as for working with other people, I love working with people like Peter van Riet, Dane Leonardson, Ivan Dutch for the music.
Absolutely.
I would not want them to be replaced by AI. No, never.
No, I think we creators should stick together, and I would want to say to all the other artists out there, whether it's a visual artist or a digital artist or a writer, we will never stop working with actual composers and illustrators. So you're definitely not out of business.
I'm still dreaming of an actual full-size canvas painting of Witch Hunter that we can use as cover art as well. But that we can also just hang in our living room. An actual oil painting,
Yeah, we got a friend who does that. We should ask her again.
Yeah. She did the art for the card when Ronan was born. It was a hobbit hole, and the painting is in the kids' room.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I just love that we have that painting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we could ask her, but she's a mom too now, so she's got her hands full.
So this is where we are when it comes to AI.
Yeah, we've been wanting to make this podcast for a long time because the AI buzz has been buzzing for a while.
And I predict that it's gonna quiet down eventually. I know some people will say, "Oh, that's not gonna age well," because many people out there believe, "Oh, it's still early days. You have no idea what's gonna come next. It's gonna change the world, and nothing will ever be the same." And yada yada. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
But I'm kind of like I'm skeptical.
But like we said, we were at first we were very negative, and I think we got a more nuanced idea now. We listened to some arguments by people, by writers who actually work with it and who think it's gonna help them in the writing process, and I respect that. Mm-hmm. We are not going to use it, but I think, I don't hate it either, the fact that it's out there.
No, I can see how it could be a really useful tool for, especially if you have to do everything on your own. But we're in a great position that we have each other, so.
That's true, but should one of us?
And we understand each other, and we both have a vision that we're working towards.
That's true. I did numerous attempts to get unstuck with a Game of Bones by asking AI for help, and just didn't work out. And then we got a good brainstorm, a long brainstorm, and that actually helped. So and remember, a good old brainstorm.
When we did that brainstorm, we started immediately involving the existing background lore that we already had for the witch hunter
Sure,
setting.
yeah. So I think you always benefit from working with actual people.
Yeah. So let's do that more.
So yeah, let's start.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you for listening. If you're still there, if you haven't dozed
If you've
off.
dozed off, it's time to wake up. You've missed your bus stop by now. So.
So yeah, we did kind of had a change of mind, so to speak. We got a more nuanced idea of AI. So we would like to hear your arguments, your idea about using AI for creating stories, for storytelling, for content creation, whatever you want to use it for as an artist. Please let us know, because we can always learn from you, we can learn from each other, and we gotta stick together.
As a very wise man once said, you can laugh, you can cry, you can express yourself, but please don't hurt each other.
That was a very wise man.
Okay. Okay, so have a great day, everyone. And this is Domien and Eline, both of us, signing off.